The following production is produced by the State University of New York College at Oneonta.
Good evening and welcome to Inside Red Dragon Sports. I'm your host, Geoff Hassard, Assistant Director of Athletics and Sports Information Director here at SUNY College at Oneonta. And tonight we have a special episode for you. We're going to welcome Matt Harvey from the men's lacrosse program and Lauren McGee from the women's soccer team. Along with, we're going to welcome back Colleen Cashman, our head volleyball coach. And we're going to talk about our Student Athlete Advisory Council as well as our Champs Life Skills program. So stay tuned after the break, and I'll be joined by tonight's first guest, Lauren McGee.
WUOW 104.7 FM is the region's premier radio station, offering award-winning programming from National Public Radio and Pacifica Radio networks, giving you the chance to become more informed about the arts, information, and entertainment from around the country and around the world. WUOW is your community radio station. Join us and support the sound.
Welcome back. Joining me now in studio, women's soccer captain, Lauren McGee. Welcome to the show, Lauren.
Hey, Geoff. It's nice to be here.
Thanks for coming by and taking time out. I know you're a busy schedule. You're in the middle of block or for education or whatever, so thanks for coming by.
Yeah, no problem. It's a crazy time, but, you make those sacrifices and make a difference.
Before we start talking about Student Athlete Advisory Council, I'd like to first congratulate you on a very successful 4-year soccer career here. 4 straight NCAA tournament appearances, a couple SUNY championships along the way, always a spark plug off the bench. So first, congratulations, and maybe can you just start by talking about your 4-year experience with our women's soccer program?
Oh yeah, absolutely, no problem. Thank you so much. We've come back from a really great weekend. We just came back from Williams. They're the number 2 team in the nation. We've had 4 straight NCAA appearances, and we've definitely made an impact on both the SUNY and the national scale. When I came in as a freshman, we actually won against the number 1 team in the country and became the number 1 team ourselves. We've been a consistent member of the NCAA tournament, and we came back after winning the first round and just missing that second round from a 2-1 game against Williams.
Personally, your experience as a soccer player here, what can you tell us about that?
Definitely, knowing the coaches, Liz McGrail and Tracy Ranieri, my freshman year, has definitely changed my experience and my life as a whole. It's made me a better person, more consistent, hardworking, all those core values that you come in, not really knowing for sure. They definitely help you become a more solid individual and soccer player at the end of 4 years.
Now, when you say they made you, better player, better person, what kinds of things did they do? How did they challenge you to reach those kinds of goals?
Everything from on the field to off the field, whether it was academics or athletics, they pushed us to standards and limits that we never even knew that we can reach. There are teams out there that can't even say that they've been to the NCAA before, and it's that expectation that pushes our team and each individual. Our team average is over a 3.0 overall. We've been consistent in winning the majority of our games. I mean, it's things that I never would have expected from myself as a player and a person, and to reach those goals are in a really incredible experience.
Right now, so really it's expectations. It's all about you expect to win, you expect to be at the top, you expect to be in the NCAA tournament. Now, as a team leader and a captain for us, how do you go about maybe passing that on to the younger players?
I mean, being a team captain is definitely one of the greatest honors that I've had here at SUNY Oneonta. You have the chance when you're a part of a team, not only to be part of a team, but a family, and to lead the family because you know exactly what it takes to be a winner is one of those things that you just demonstrate by example. And whether it's every day in practice, whether it's sprinting out the hardest last sprint, or pushing through those last 5 minutes of a game, that's when you show those younger kids exactly what it's going to take to be the best.
Right, and that's exactly what we are. We are the best in the SUNY Act. So
Absolutely.
congratulations again.
Thank you.
Transferring that leadership over to our Student Athlete Advisory Council, you're the SAC president this year. You've been involved with it for your cumulative career here, as well as, we'll talk later tonight with Matt and Colleen about the Champs Life Skills program. What's it like to be a leader amongst leaders?
SAC has actually been a really great opportunity for me. It's definitely not one of those things that you just draw on your resume and you coast by doing it. It's you become a representative for the entire athletic community here, and it's definitely one of those great honors, along with being captain of my team. We've had the chance to reach out, whether it's with the college community or the Oneonta town community, and to make big changes, make big differences, and really get our voice out there.
Now, working with the other team leaders or captains from our programs, what's it like to be, because you're peers, but you have to get things done. You do have goals and that you set each year. What kinds of goals were set for this year for the students?
We've actually had some high goals. The people that are involved in SAC, those team leaders, are some of the best and the most active individuals that are a part of those teams. Some of our goals definitely consist of making sure that all the athletes are satisfied throughout the year in terms of game audiences, or whether we have food on Saturday mornings. Everything that requires goes through SAC, and we make those major decisions, whether it's NCAA legislation. We vote on all those kinds of things. So we do have a huge voice, and we do make differences, whether it's for one individual or for the athletic community as a whole. Now,
the group as a whole feels like that they are definitely making an impact within our, like you said, within our college campus, and then also, the greater Oneonta community as a whole.
Absolutely. We have many different programs and many different events, whether it's within just the athletic community, such as Kicking Your Class, getting teams to get to know each other and getting involved, or all the various community service events, whether it's a blood drive or we're running for the Kidney Run Walk or the American Heart Association. We're raising money, we're making differences, we're getting to know our fans. We go out there, we have huge prizes. It's a great time. It's one of those things where if you come to SUNY Oneonta, you remember the athletic teams, you remember that big game, that experience where they painted their faces, or they got really rowdy and we won over Hartwick. Those are the experiences that you remember 10 years down the road.
Now, one of our initiatives within our department, we're trying, like when you say, fans and that kind of stuff, Fans in the Stands, which you're involved with, and Danielle Lee, our head athletic trainer, is also overseeing that. What kinds of initiatives are in store for us this year to try and pack the stands for our games?
Fans in the Stands is one of those really big events that started off kind of slow last year. There's actually a committee involving myself, Laura Nowak, who's on the women's softball team, and individuals from Residence Life and Greek Life. And basically it's a big competition, which is awesome for us athletes because we are so competitive. And basically during halftime events, each organization, whether it's individuals from Residence Hall, Greek, and athletics, will compete during the halftime events and will be able to win prizes, such as big screen TVs, towels, and keychains, and all these different things. There are also events like if you wear red during a game and you show up and you're cheering and you're getting excited, you might win a T-shirt, and it's really bringing out the college community, packing those stands. Our basketball games, men's and women's, are really big events where fans have the chance to get rowdy, paint their faces, and really get the Oneonta spirit going.
Right. Now, over the last few years, our experience within basketball, like you said, it's an indoor sport. It's easier to get people to come to an indoor event sometimes because of the weather and all that kind of stuff. I've noticed that the fans are a little more excited. They're a little bit more rowdy. Our pep band has certainly done a great job of increasing that kind of involvement from our fans. What else would you like to see happen with that Fans in the Stands group?
Fans in the Stands is definitely a great new addition to our spirit of Oneonta. We just had our first annual pep rally, which was organized underneath Tracy Ranieri. We got a whole bunch of athletic teams to come out and get the fans rowdy for big games and supporting athletics. Fans in the Stands will basically draw out particular groups like the freshmen. We've tried to pinpoint advertisement towards them. So not only does Fans in the Stands become part of like your experience for a year, it's going to be part of a 4-year experience, and it's going to make athletics bigger and better. And the energy that comes from the crowd definitely gets brought into the game, because if you're going away and there's a big crowd and there are people going crazy, it's very hard to get that momentum going. So, I mean, the fans are a huge part of our win-loss record here at Oneonta.
Now, within our own athletic teams, we have our own competition. They call it the Red Dragon Cup or the SAC
Yes.
Cup, where, can you talk a little bit about that, how we try to get our teams to support other teams?
Yeah, I mean, coming out for athletics definitely starts with other athletic teams. It would be kind of hypocritical for us to ask members of our campus community to come out when we don't even see each other play. So we have our own competition based out of SAC called the Red Dragon Cup. Whenever a team member shows up to another team's game, whether it's I go to a field hockey game or men's basketball comes out and supports a baseball team, they get individual points for the percentage of kids that come out. So even if you're one person coming out to one game, it definitely still makes a difference. So at the end of the year, we tally up all the Red Dragon points, and the winning team gets a plaque with their name on it, and I believe a pizza party as well. So what better motivator than a big pizza pie for you?
Yeah, that certainly motivates the students. What and having other student athletes from other teams come to your games, how important is that for?
It's definitely a really, really big motivator. I definitely have some great friends that are student athletes and otherwise. And when I see them on the sideline, it's kind of a reciprocal kind of friendship, because we have big senior nights. We play against Hartwick. We play against Cortland on our big Red Dragon battle. And to see other student athletes come out, it really gets the adrenaline pumping. And the student athletes are not just other teams. They're friends. We see them in the training room. We see them on the sidelines. They know how much it takes to get out of practice every day and work your butt off, in addition to school and all those other responsibilities that we carry as student athletes.
Right, it certainly does take a lot of work for our student athletes, especially in Division III, because you are going to school, getting an education, and also competing at such a high level. So, other things on campus that you're involved in? Because you're not just a leader amongst our own leaders in SAC and stuff like that, but you do other things on campus. Can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, sure. Soccer has really taken up a lot of my time, and SAC has been a great addition. There have been plenty of leadership opportunities. I've attended numerous leadership conferences. I'm a past president, former president of Open Minded Unity, representing different kinds of student organizations on campus. I try to stay fairly involved with SA, which is a student association, and really getting people not only to just see and come out for athletic events, but to display their own leadership opportunities, whether it's talking to the freshmen about what not to do and what they should be doing, handling their academics correctly, and supporting other organizations, whether it's the pep band coming out or going to see Kickline or the Terps competition as well, have been great supporters for us.
Now, as you go forward now, you got one semester left. You're going to be doing your student teaching. Your cumulative athletic experience and your college experience, how do you think that's going to help you when you get into secondary education?
Yes.
How do you think that's going to help?
Definitely those middle school kids, you need to be a leader in the classroom. You need to be a role model. And all the qualities that I've taken away from these 4 years of soccer will definitely make a huge impact. When I sit down for that interview, I'll be able to talk about the hard work, the teamwork, being able to apply those qualities that I've come away with from the soccer program and apply them in the classroom and beyond that.
Yeah, which is, and again, we certainly know that you're a leader and you're a tremendous leader for our department, and we would like to thank you for coming by and sharing some of your experience with us tonight. And
thank you so much, Geoff.
All right, well, we'll see you around campus. I'd like to thank Lauren McGee for coming by tonight, and after the break, I'll be joined in studio by Colleen Cashman and Matt Harvey.
You ever think about buying a bigger place?
Just waiting for a visit from the credit fairy.
There is no credit fairy.
How else will I get a better credit score?
Look, you keep your credit card balances low and only open a new card if you really need it.
No fairy?
There's no magic to improving your credit, but there's help, and it's free. Go to creditfairy.org.
Welcome back to tonight's show. Joining me now in studio is head women's volleyball coach Colleen Cashman and men's lacrosse captain Matt Harvey. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we just had on earlier Lauren McGee talking a little bit about our Student Athlete Advisory Council and how important it is to be a student leader on campus. And Colleen, first, before we start talking about champs and our program there, I'd like to congratulate you on your volleyball season. And when we talked earlier this fall about a couple of freshmen, Casey Boberka and Brittany Calvello, you said that they were going to be pretty good players for us, and they ended up being all conference. So
they definitely were all conference, and you know, it's tough because we had 4 freshmen this year, and 3 were starters for us. And you know, with Brittany and Casey, 2 impact players, Casey on the outside and Brittany as a setter. And you know, it said on the show when I was on here the first time that they were going to be impact players, and they were definitely impact players.
Well, certainly congratulations on behalf
Thank
of the
you.
department. And
We're excited. We're in the, you know, we just had a team meeting on Monday, and we're talking about next year already. And you know, you can. It's nice when you end the season, and you know, granted, you know, our record wasn't what we would hoped it would be, but you know, the excitement for next year already is fun.
And that's what it's about.
It
and when
is.
those younger players get excited, that's really what it's all about.
It is.
So, champs, challenging athletes' minds for personal success.
Yes, that's awesome.
Program that we have been in from the beginning.
And from the beginning, 1996, I believe, was the first year that Champs was started by the NCAA.
And we were one of the pilot programs. Tracy Ranieri brought it to Oneonta, and we were one of the first Division III schools to have it. We've embraced it. Our student athletes have certainly embraced it because of all the things that they do. And you were the advisor and involved with that for the last 4 or 5 years. Could you just talk a little bit about what it's like to work with a student group like that and trying to organize those events and stuff?
Well, I think that, you know, with Champs, it's a life skills program, and as a Division III institution, you know, that's pretty much what we are all about. And, you know, as a head coach, you know, I'm talking to my team all the time about what you can take with you after you leave college. And, you know, with the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, I mean, we talk a lot about that aspect in that group. And Champs wasn't necessarily part of SAC or isn't part of SAC, but we work well together, and we rely on our SAC members to help with the different Champs events. And you know, there's 5 components within Champs. So let's see if I get them all right. We have career development that we work on. We have community service. We have academic achievement, athletic achievement, and personal development. And so, you know, for us as an athletic department, we tend to, you know, focus a lot on community service. You know, we give a lot of hours as student athletes, and I think if I added it up last year, it was about 5,000 hours.
Yeah, it was some enormous number. I mean, it was incredible.
A lot, and I'm not even sure that's all of it, because you know, we don't really keep track of individual community service, you know, events that they do within their own disciplines. Personal, you know, the personal development aspect, we do a lot of, you know, motivational speakers that we bring in, and plus, you know, nutrition speakers, hazing prevention, alcohol and drug prevention. So it's definitely all encompassing when it comes to the Champs program. Now,
Matt, for you being a student athlete, I mean, you're a 4-year member of our men's lacrosse program and certainly a leader within our program, and you're also the vice president of SAC. What's it like as a student to be involved in that programming? I mean, do you see the benefit? You know, do you see it down the road as something that's worthwhile in being involved in?
Yeah, you know, I noticed you know, how much it takes to get behind something. Like, we just finished up at the end of October dealing with the blood drive that we hosted, and I took lead on that. And you know, just getting all the man hours for tabling to get people to make an appointment to show up while you're still hoping to get a lot of walk-ins. Just getting the other student athletes on board with that, you know, it takes a little push because we are in season. People are out of season, school work. You know, it really shows you how much drive everyone has. And we had a goal of 47 pints of blood, and we achieved 68 that day. So, you know, we really followed through on the process.
Now, it seems like most of the times when we have our events, the student athletes, I know they set goals for themselves, and it always seems like we're going above and beyond. And I mean, for you, that's got to be a rewarding experience because, like you said, I mean, now you kind of saw it from like start to finish, and you were involved in some of the planning and things. what kind of skills do you think that develops in you besides, I mean, you know, obviously you're a very good lacrosse player, and those are skills that we have, but as far as just personal skills that Colleen was talking about as part of the champs, what kind of skills do you think you're developing?
I think it helps me stand out as a leader and give me some composure, even if I'm in a situation where it seems to be getting a little tough, but you just keep your head above water and persevere through the struggles of getting it all done, even when it seems like too much.
Now, some of the programs that we've had last year in particular, we had Susie Favor Hamilton here on campus talking to our student athletes about her Olympic experience and how, you know, now she says that she kind of faked the injury a little bit because she wasn't going to win the race. I mean, what do you take from that as an athlete?
I don't even know. You know, the fact that she comes out and says it this far afterward, I mean, it's got to be, you got to credit her for being able to take that embarrassment, because now admitting it, especially this far gone, is, right. You know, you have to have, I don't know, some strength behind you to be able to admit it, because it's an embarrassing situation.
Now, for student athletes, Colleen, do you think those kinds of life lessons are good for them to see someone? I mean, she's an Olympic athlete. She's at the top of her sport. You know, what kind of things do you think the student athletes do take from that?
That anything is achievable. I think part of it, you know, I mean, when you look at the type of individual she is, she's a very small individual, and would, you know, to look at her, you wouldn't think that she would be an Olympic distance runner. And she was able to take her game that far. And I say game, I don't know if running's necessarily a game, but you know, I think that was part of the message that she was also trying to relay to the student athletes that night, was that, you know, anything is possible. And yeah, I got to this point and I might not have achieved what I thought I was going to achieve, but I kept working at it. And right. You know, I think a lot of the speakers that we have in, you know, when it comes to the motivational aspect, that's what we're trying to say to our student athletes.
Right. This year we had in Geoff Jansen, right?
No. This year we had John Underwood. John Underwood came in.
And
right.
What kind of a presentation was that for you and the student athletes? I mean, what do you think you took from that?
I think it was shocking, you know, dealing with alcohol's effect on bodies and drugs and alcohol throughout, and the percentages with sports and college and athletes. But I think the biggest thing that caught me was the statistic, like only 2% of high school athletes end up being a college athlete. And even just to be here and not even at the Olympic or professional level, you realize you're amongst a very small group of people that actually make it through, and, you know, it's something to be proud of, especially when you're dealing with college.
Right. Now, when he's talking about, you know, those negative effects of alcohol and drugs on the body, I mean, obviously we can't keep our student athletes, I mean, they're students, they're college kids, but do you think that maybe some people do get kind of a message of saying, geez, I really should think twice before, you know, maybe starting or getting into that kind of a lifestyle? I mean, do you think the athletes take that to heart, those kinds of messages?
I think that presentation definitely shocked a couple people, and, you know, I know we're seeing some dry seasons from it. I'm pretty sure the men's wrestling team is undertaking a dry season this year, and they're looking pretty strong so far, and yeah. If they keep it up, you know, I think it'll work out.
Now, do you think that those kinds of, like, I mean, we say it's another life lesson. I mean, right. Do you think that our student athletes are taking those kinds of things to heart?
I do. You know, I think, you know, for the most part, and I'll use my team as an example, you know, I don't think that they necessarily set out and said we're going to have a dry season, but I also think that if, you know, if they did, you know, partake a little bit, that they did so less. Right. You know, and when they went out, they would only have, you know, a drink or two, as opposed to, you know, going over the limit. And, right. You know, I think, and even then, you know, we only had a couple of older players on the team that could actually go out legally. Yeah. And I think his message was very clear. And I do think that as a young athlete coming in as a freshman, to hear some of the things that his message was saying and how long alcohol stays in your body, I mean, he's renowned. I mean, John Underwood is in a class all by himself when it comes to this information. I mean, he does so many studies. He works with Olympic athletes himself. He works at the Olympic Training Center. I mean, you know, for us to be able to bring someone in of that quality, I think, is great.
And I think that's what our Champs programming is really all about, and has been about. I mean, we're trying to find speakers or people that can come in and make an impact on our student athletes. I mean, we have over 450 student athletes, and they're all, you know, different ages. You know, some can, some can't, and some of them don't know which way to go. And I think, you know, our team leaders like yourself, coaches who are involved in this programming, certainly I think, you know, gives that message of, you know, hey, I mean, you know, these are things that we should be watching out for. So I mean, we certainly want to thank you for being a team leader and doing the things you do. What kinds of things do we have coming up? I know that we have in the Thanksgiving season, we have the Thanksgiving baskets. What other kinds of things are we involved in?
Right now we're doing the Thanksgiving baskets. I know I'm trying to get together maybe like a leaf raking, community service to help out some of the local people in the community. What else do we have coming up?
We have the Migrant Workers Christmas program that athletics has done for I think for at least 10 or 11 years, and we have I think we have 18 teams, 17 teams participating in that, and it's just a great program because these children wouldn't get Christmas gifts.
Right, and that's what that program is.
We as a team, all the team members donate money, including coaches, and you know, we have a few people that go out and they buy the Christmas gifts for the children, and they can range in age from, for volleyball we have 2-year-olds this year, and you know, but then you know, you have this child that you're buying for, but then they also have a family too, you know, like they have siblings, so you kind of go out and you buy clothes for the, you know, the child that you're sponsoring, but then you also buy something for the family, and they really would not get Christmas presents if it wasn't, you know, for this program that, you know, is run through.
And what do our student athletes say about that? I mean, being involved in something like that.
It just feels really good to know that you're helping out, especially the local community, and if they're struggling, because there's such a big support behind us being here, and you know, we're a part of the city, so we need to be there for them.
And I think overall, I mean, we've talked to other coaches that have been on the show, and we talk about community service and the things that they do, and they kind of say the same thing. I mean, the student athletes really need to get an understanding of, you know, yeah, you're coming to this college and you're kind of like borrowing the city for like 4 years, or you know what I mean? And what else do you give back? And certainly our student athletes are more than willing, and I think that a lot of them will take this. I mean, what as you leave here after your, you know, career and go out into the real working world, I mean, what kinds of things do you think you'll take from this as far as the community service? And
I know I'll always be involved wherever I end up going. You know, whatever community I'm in, I'm definitely going to be involved when it comes to, you know, blood drives, or I know we have current issues with family members of ex-teammates or whatever with bone marrow drives, and look into that in the future. I mean, that's an extensive process, but, you know, little things that can save lives or just save your neighbor.
Right. It really is limitless. I mean, the things that we can do, and I think to have student athletes, you know, be able to jump on board and do a lot of the legwork. I mean, we rely on them to do a lot of the stuff. I mean, what kinds of things?
We definitely do, and you know, we're sitting here talking and my head's going in 10 million different directions, but you know, I think that what I've been impressed with our student athlete group the whole time that I was Champs coordinator and SAC advisor is that student athletes really do embrace this process. It's not, you know, like, I don't ever hear the grumbling, you know, oh my God, we got to go do community service. It's like, no, and they go and they give 100%. And I think what's great is when, you know, like when we do leaf raking and we, you know, go to a house in the community and, you know, somebody stands there and they bring out the cookies and the drinks because they're just so ecstatic that, you know, someone is raking their leaves and otherwise they wouldn't get done, you know. And they send thank you cards, and those are the things that you really take away from, and you're happy and proud to be a part of this athletic department because the community really appreciates what we do. And you know, I don't know how many other SUNY schools really go to the extent that we do when it comes to any part of this Champs, you know, process. I think Brockport does a great job too,
yes. But they might be, you know, one of the that does it to the extent that we do. I mean, I think, again, we were one of the pilot programs. We certainly embraced it, our coaches, our student athletes, and even though we've had, you know, turnover in some of our coaching staffs, the message has still been the same, that this is part of what we do. And again, I think as you move on into your life and you said, hey, this is going to be a part of my life because I'm going to continue to do these community service things and give back because it's important, not because you have to. And you, as a leader, coach, you're doing the same thing with your team. So, I certainly, again, thank you for doing what you do with our student groups and being a leader. And Colleen, I thank you again for coming back and talking a little bit about Champs and what it means for you as a coach. So thank you both for coming by today, and we'll have you back on during lacrosse season to talk a little lacrosse. And Colleen, we always enjoy having you on, and you might find yourself back here sometime. So
I'm sure I might.
So thanks for coming by. And we'd like to thank all three of our guests tonight: Lauren McGee from the women's soccer team, Matt Harvey from men's lacrosse, and of course head women's volleyball coach Colleen Cashman. We'd like to invite you to come to our upcoming home games during the month of December. We have a lot of men's and women's basketball games. And as always, check out our sports hotline. You can now follow us on Twitter. So if you have a Twitter account, we can certainly love to send you information as it comes out. And I'd like to thank you for joining us and see you next time on Inside Red Dragon Sports.